Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we've got Blind Date. For those of you joining us for the first time, CreepyPasta is, in essence, the next wave of scary campfire stories. But on the internet. The name comes from short stories being copied and pasted across the internet. The name got shortened into slang, copypasta, and the scary ones are called creepypasta. So, Blind Date. This one, Dr. Leviathan presented to me to read. And I started reading it and was like, oh, this is going to be one of those like more realistic kind of scary stories with a serial killer kind of thing, and then it has a little bit of a twist halfway through it. So, we'll just So it's about this. It starts off with this guy saying that he is a serial killer, and had been for some time.
Yeah,
in his life.
He chucks his total up to 18, I believe it is.
Yeah, in the New York metropolitan area, and. The night that the fateful night was going to be like no other. It was going to be like the same as the other ones.
Yeah, standard MO.
Yeah, exactly. Went on eHarmony or one of those dating sites. Got a victim and lured her to this Italian Italian eatery, and starts. They have like chit chat, and she's really beautiful and. He starts fantasizing about her. Kind of gets a little creepy in that regard, but it's because he's a serial killer, so it makes sense, story wise, narratively. He notes that she's a very voracious eater because she like pretty much downs the entire appetizer, like before he has a chance to. Really, it seems. And then they have their main course, which is like steak or something like that, bloody, of course. After they start drinking, he persuades her to come to his house rather easily. And they get into the cab and they head back to his house. And they start fooling around, and then he has this. He gets his tendency, his dark desire, so he goes off and grabs the knife. And while he's doing her, there's no way of getting around that. He starts stabbing her.
Dente Rigamortis, folks. We keep it classy.
Yes. So while he's doing the business, he starts stabbing her, and like normal, like she's blood-curdling scream, and he's just keeping at it, and eventually she goes limp. He finishes his job. And starts planning out the next phase, which is to dissect her, because that's what he's into, and it's all kind of creepy and stuff. And then she starts laughing, and it's just apparently bone-chilling, because it's like one of those laughs that, like, where you think it's the funniest thing ever, but you want to keep laughing.
Dead.
Yeah, that too. That also, like, is kind of unnerving. And apparently she, like stands, or sits up, like a corpse, like with her head, like, lolling around and stuff like that, and she's got this wicked smile. And her eyes are like the blackest of black, like blacker than night is what it's actually, I think, is the quote. And her mouth starts widening starts opening to an unbelievable.
Yeah, her mouth turns into this gaping abyss.
Exactly, yeah, and he's engulfed into it within before his very eyes, like he's unable to stop it at all. And he finds himself in this dark abyss with other voices. And it seems that he meets a couple of them that are from, like, the 16th century or 17th century England. So this woman, Stephanie, has been around for, like, decades, centuries. Is some kind of inhuman entity.
If you didn't get that from the
giant gaping maw and the fact that she came back from death
And swallowed a manhole.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there are lots of giveaways at this point that she's not human, but
No,
the big one is the fact that she's been around since like the 1600s.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the character like spends almost a paragraph or so at this point saying like that she's inhuman, like she's a killer like me, but she's inhuman. She's an immortal. She's been doing this for a long time. There's thousands of us in the abyss, and every so often, like he doesn't know how long he's been in there, but for every so often there'll be a light that'll just shine down on the thousands of people that are there, and a new one will come in, like because Stephanie's been feeding, and so the story is going to end pretty quickly. This is a very quick. This will probably be a very relatively short episode of El Dante. But yeah, like so, last couple of paragraphs are kind of like, it's a long story of how I got this out of the abyss. It involved some group effort and some perfect timing when the light opened up. But this is a warning. I know I deserve this kind of fate, but you don't. Be weary of who you invite into your home, of girls that are really into you. Look out for Stephanie Donati, I think her last name was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And then the story literally ends with that. It's a nice, quick, scary, cautionary tale.
Yeah, it goes. I mean,
it goes on a spiral from a realistic kind of horror to a more supernatural kind of horror.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and once it gets supernatural, it's really just like from that point on, it's just wrapping it all up. Really just spends more time, really, in my opinion, explaining how he got the message out than everything else, which is important because I remember before I got to that point, I was like, well, then how the hell am I reading this?
That's exactly what I thought.
I highly doubt your Wi-Fi connection was, suitable there.
Yeah, in the gaping maw, or the gaping abyss, within a demon woman.
Yeah,
Unless she just happens to go into a cafe with Wi-Fi, it's like, oh, I got bars. That's it. That's it right there.
But the fact, and I actually enjoyed the fact that it doesn't come right out and tell you how, he got the word out.
He says that
it's just kind of left
to your own imagination.
Yeah, there's no real specifics or anything. So for all we know, he is sitting there with his smartphone and waiting for bars.
It's like, the light's open, we got bars now. It's like, just has to wait till like the most opportune time when like Stephanie just happens to be eating somebody who has a really good signal at her router. Also, if it's been like 10 years, because apparently, he does mention that it took about 10 years as far as he's aware. So like how his cell phone or how his like laptop or whatever he happened to have on him to send this message out.
Well, and I mean, kind of got to assume that considering the circumstances surrounding his entering into the abyss, that he was unclothed. So
yeah, you're right. So like, I don't even know where he was keeping that cell phone.
Well,
or how he's getting this. Maybe he's just like broadcasting himself out.
Exactly. Again, this is part of the whole. He doesn't give you specifics, so you can't just say, well, that's BS.
Yeah, exactly. Like, my immersion's broken.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a what the hell kind of thing, but at the same time...
He does at least address a little bit.
I can't say it's wrong because he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So...
He addressed enough that, like, it doesn't ruin the story.
Yeah, he addressed it so that, it's like, yeah, okay, you saw that, that's an issue with this story, but then you addressed it, so it's not like I can say, well, what the hell? It was handled the best way it could be for this story to exist at all.
Yeah.
Because
I was kind of nervous
like
at the beginning about that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, my first impression was, I was kind of, a little bit different, because they just provide a photo at the top of this image. I was like, wait, so like that's what like my first initial thought of the whole thing was that, oh, this is going to be like some kind of weird, sick, like murderer meets murderer, and they live happily ever after, or in killing people and stuff like that, because they have a photo like of each other. So that's actually not her in the photo; it's just him, like that before he went on a serial killer mode.
Yeah, it was.
The story was a little bit like misleading, but it was good for that because it was like my I had one thing thinking of, and I shouldn't have going into this, and it changed. The whole story like twisted itself, so I was like, oh, okay, this is what's going on.
Yeah, it's going straight, mundane.
And then
because there's something mundane about a serial killer.
When we're reading creepypasta, mundane, like the super, like just a normal serial killer would be mundane.
Yeah,
when
it's it's your typical Silence of the Lambs serial killer, and and then just with I think it's like within a line or two, it's just all of a sudden turned on its head, and now it's this supernatural horror, and it was really well done on just. The old bait and switch. Yeah,
it kind of actually reminds me of. I don't know if you've ever watched the video compilation anthology VHS.
Not yet. No.
Okay, well, there's one story in it where the guy has like glasses or has like these like video camera glasses, and they go on they go on a night of the town, and they pick up some girls. One of them's a little like sketchy, like kind of weird, like maybe just like nervous to be in this situation or whatever. Do you want spoilers? Also,
doesn't matter to
spoilers, folks.
I'm pretty sure people listening know that we just in general give spoilers.
Yeah. So the story, like they go back to their hotel room. They start fooling around. The one guy with the glasses goes into the bathroom, and then he comes out, and the sketchy girl suddenly becomes this like succubus demon thing. And just rips everybody apart. Like it went from like you thought that they were going to be the ones that was going to end up like causing some kind of problem, but then the nervous girl ends up becoming this horrible monster. So I was kind of reminded of that while reading near that halfway point or near that turning point.
Yeah, it's really a fairly common, there's nothing really special about this kind of story, but at the same time, when you find it well done, like this one was, there is something special about it all of a sudden. Yeah, like it is really well done. And apparently, I actually did you look at the comments underneath? I looked at them last night when I was reading it. So I've been forgetting to.
Because apparently one of the guys on the comments, again, I take it with a grain of salt because I'm not sure who actually is who on the internet. But there's one guy down here on the list. Further down? There. That guy there with the weird monster thing on his icon. Yeah. Go further down. He had left a message. He said a message about like that he actually. It seemed like he was the one that wrote the story, and that he was planning on rewriting it, along with other pastas that he's done. So, yeah, and the comments were pretty much all positive. Like there was very little of them that were not that were there were very little of them that were negative. So
yeah, I mean,
this is also just another good short creepypasta.
Yeah, and again, probably largely because it's short. Yeah. There's no room for, like, he didn't go on to the point where it's too convoluted or too just ridiculous. Yeah, just, like, told us what we need to know at the beginning, told us laid out the events that transpired, and then gave us a quick note or two about how the hell he got this out from after the situation, like a post-mortem kind of thing. Yeah. And then that was it. Like the horror, like the creepiness was throughout. Like and the creepiness kind of permeated from beginning to end, because like the beginning it was like it kind of escalates. Yeah.
its creepiness, because you started like, oh, okay, this is kind of creepy, the whole like serial killer thing. It's like, oh, and then he gets his comeuppance, and it's terrifying what happens to him even. But at the same time, you're also kind of like,
But then you find out that there's like countless other victims
yeah,
in there with him.
exactly, and she's been doing this a long time, and like, you could be next. It's that classic horror trope. It's like, you're next. I think that was actually in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
They could be in our streets,
Yeah.
in our
You
movie
fools.
theaters.
You fools, all of you! You're next! You're next! But yeah, the classics.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just can't even really nitpick. I mean,
you could, but
well, I always could, but at the same time, I read it, I enjoyed it, and, you know, I would have to go back to nitpick as opposed to some of the other ones where it's like,
soapbox is coming out.
I'm just gonna nitpick from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually have anything else, really.
Well, I will say, like, I actually did do some further reading last night after I finished reading it to try and see if I could find, like, I wanted to see if I could get an audio version of it for this morning when I went before I came back here. Couldn't find anything. There's nothing on YouTube that, as far as I can tell, nobody's done it yet. So get on that internet. But
we're doing our part now. You do yours. Would you like to know more? I'm sorry.
It's okay. But you know, it's a nice like short like creepypasta. It doesn't have a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of I guess it doesn't. Maybe it has some exposure like around the creepypasta circles, but like it's not one of the big ones like we've done in the past. But it's a nice
Well, when
treasure.
I first told you about it, because as we've already covered, I found this one, which was fun for me. Didn't you say it was like featured this like on? It was
I think
like
I
a
remember
featured on the wiki, the creepypasta wiki.
Yeah,
site.
you told me the blind. You told me the title, Blind Date, and I thought I had heard it before, so I might have seen it on the creepypasta of the month, but that it might have been like a couple of months ago or maybe a year ago.
Still, at least
yeah.
it was well. I mean, at least it got some recognition if it was, if you did see it there, because again, it was well done.
Also, I'm pretty sure you can also just Google this one, like Blind Date creepypasta, and it will pop up.
I have no idea.
I think I tried. I think
stumbled
that's
upon it with random pasta.
Well, actually, I Googled it this morning. I think that's how I got it to reread it again. But yeah, no, so it's a short one. It's effective. It escalates nicely.
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to this and haven't read it, then it probably will have no effect on you, but
yeah.
Worst case scenario, it's really just a waste of 5-10 minutes because it is nice and short. And if you haven't read it and you've listened this far, I would still say go ahead and read it, because
we haven't told too many specifics aside from like we just did a rundown of the synopsis, but I'm sure we left something out.
Yeah, but we left we gave the twist away, so anyone who's reading about the serial killer, when they get to the demonic horror, they're not going to have any surprise there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's
I really
all
gotta remember. I really gotta remember to put like a. By the way, if you want to read this at the end of this,
again, people, if people are listening, then they're aware that we do a rundown of every story, and that we just have zero care about spoilers.
Well, it's something I can also throw in the description for this episode. Yeah, so so I assume you have nothing again about the writing style or any of the pro.
No, it was well crafted. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of little points where tense was a little screwed up, but...
Yeah, I think I remember even catching a bit, but it didn't ruin it as badly as some of the other ones have.
Exactly. It's once, maybe twice, and, you know, it's really just a matter of... It was a matter of reread the sentence so that I, you know what he said, know what was meant, and then, you know, carry on with my day and my life.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, this was well done. You know, it didn't stick around too long to get annoying or to, you know, just get bad, as some of them do, because I'm pretty sure the ones I've bitched about the most, because I've bitched about a few a lot, have been some of the longer ones that were... could have been shorter than this, some of them.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
they might have been more effective.
Yeah. This one was just a nice surprise, especially since I didn't have anyone's recommendation, you know, yours or anyone else's.
You just clicked the random pasta button.
Yeah. I mean, the only hint I got about what I was going to read was, the not safe for work notice that the creepypasta.wiki put up, which I found immensely amusing, especially once I was done, because it was like, there's really nothing here. I mean, there is like a skimmed over sex scene, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was, I mean...
But I mean, you can understand why they did it, but at the same time, there wasn't really a necessary, but they're just covering their ass.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're covering your ass from what? You know? Like, it's words.
Yeah.
You know? How is someone, you know, how is a coworker walking behind you or, you know, getting a glimpse of your screen going to see the lewd, you know? There's just nothing there. It's like... The one picture that accompanies this is incredibly innocent and
tame by
a little adorable, and that's just
exactly.
It's really out of place, but
again, like it gives you at least maybe I think at the very most the only thing really reason it helps is that it gives you a face to the writer.
Oh, I always have my own face, so...
Okay, so they completely ignore it then.
Yeah, I didn't even actually look at the picture until I was done, because it was like, there was an image up at the top. And I was like, so I scrolled back up, and I'm like, that is just out of place. And then I read the caption, and I was like, okay, still out of place.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
It was... I mean... It did... Again, the picture doesn't take anything away. It really just, you know, helps set the misleading tone for the beginning.
Yeah.
Which...
Because like I said, like I saw the picture and I was like, oh, so this is going to probably turn out to be a story about two serial killers meeting each other and going on a happy day. But no, I'm glad I was surprised. I'm glad I was completely wrong.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have recommended it to you if it didn't have some sort of ancient horror.
And with that segment, so would you recommend this to anybody trying to get into creepypasta, or?
Yeah, you know, honestly, this would be a better first one than my first one, just because it kind of, I don't know, it seems like it has all of the markings of a good creepypasta.
Okay.
And it doesn't have any of the bad things that I've read in other creepypastas, not to mention any names. Jeff the Killer. Sorry, I've been having this cold or allergies or something this week. But yeah, and again, it's short, so, you know,
5 minutes, you're done.
Not as daunting as Candle Cove, which was my first one. Not that the length of Candle Cove was daunting in and of itself, but at the same time, I believe
this would have been a better one for you.
Yeah.
For
introductory.
Yeah. Okay.
Hands down, and I just think it's a better example of creepypasta. It's got a nice monster. It's got, a nice setup, a great twist at the end. And
a cautionary tale.
And it was a twist that paid off.
Yeah.
Whereas Candle Cove, to me, didn't really pay off.
Okay.
Read the Candle, or listen to the Candle Cove one for that. Because I won't go back into it here. Because I'm sure the cultist is just annoyed with that by now. A little bit,
but you're fine, yeah.
But it was, that one didn't pay off. This one paid off really well. It did what it was supposed to. It actually surprised me.
Alright. Yeah, I mean, I read it and was... Yeah, I'd recommend it for anybody who's trying to read. Just wants like a quick, creepy read, so...
Yeah. And again, if you go to read this after listening to us, I'm sorry. Because we ruined it.
Again. It's what we do on this show. We are kind of a little like internet book club, but we kind of also present it to before anybody has a chance to read. Hey, newcomers get to read.
Well, yeah, but it's not like they can't pause it or read the creepypasta before listening to us, because we take a lot longer time than it takes to read the pasta.
Oh god, yeah.
So,
all right, and I don't know if we said it before, but you can check this out on creepypasta.wiki. I'm not sure if you can get it anywhere else, or you can also just Google blind date creepypasta on Google. So, and with that, that's it for tonight. But if you like what you heard, leave us a comment below or send it to us at denterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas we should discuss on the show. Until next time, I'm your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.